Oh no, no, not stupid, sexy Hasan. Blast. What do we have here? CBP, so that'd be Customs and Border Protection, had that detained Hasan were hate watchers. Really? From what I remember, I believe he said that, I don't know if they were hate watchers. This might be a little bit of an embellishment here. What, there was like a particular, the information that CBP was offering, was operating under when they detained him was, all shit that was probably generated from hate watchers. But, you know, we'll see what Hasan says in these clips. Maybe it'd be better to have like a full context video. But, you know, what do we got here?
I'm sitting there and they're asking me about Trump. They're asking me about like Hamas and he kept saying stuff. He kept saying stuff like, "Do you like Hamas? Like, do you support Hamas? Do you think Hamas is a resistance group? Do you think Hamas is a terrorist group or a resistance group?" Like, he just kept asking over and over again, right? And I kept repeating the same statement over and over again. I kept saying, I kept saying a couple different things. One, in terms of like Israel and all the wars, I was like, I'm on the side of civilians. I want the endless bloodshed to end. I am a pacifist. I want wars to end. I just kept repeating that over and over again. Every single time he asked me a question, I just kept repeating that. And every single time he asked me a question, a leading question about Hamas, I kept saying, the United States State Department recognized.
So yeah, that's like the thing that like certainly can tip you off is the fact that why am I being asked all of these leading questions? This is really, really strange. And I would probably agree with Hasan here. That is really fucking weird that this dude is asking you a bunch of leading questions trying to like make him admit to something. Like, yeah, I am a pro-Hamas propagandist. Because a lot of his like fucking dumbass detractors, your fucking drama slop tubers, Ethan Klein, DGGers, all these fucking slop content creators, seemingly are operating under the assumption that, actually, unironically, Hasan probably is a Hamas fucking propagandist, which is just silly. Constantly speaking, Hasan has basically operated off of like, hey, you know what? Personally, it is understandable and reasonable to come to the sort of conclusion for as to why a group like Hamas has formed. Very simple and easy. Because think about, broadly speaking, what Israel has done to the Palestinian population. You are surprised at all by the fact that a fucking violent political group was formed as a result of that? And I'm supposed to be shocked by this in particular, which is pretty understandable, right? That is the position that I generally operate under, and I believe that is the same thing with Hasan, or unless he's like changed his tune for some reason. But then again, operating on anything that any of these like stupid fucking slop tubers say should be taken with the most extreme grains of salt. They are, broadly speaking, untrustworthy, and nothing that they say should be absolutely believed under any circumstance. They're full of it, and they know it.
Recognizes Hamas as a terrorist organization. The United States State Department recognizes Hamas.
I think I would prefer to actually watch a full-fledged video. Let me try to get one from a... There's no way that there hasn't been a fucking clipper that hasn't gotten this yet already. Let's grab a quick one. I just want to get to the... I just want to fucking have full contexts. I don't want this. Can we, like, not be stupid and cringe right now? Thank you.
May know. I'm somewhat of an experienced traveler, and usually, as an experienced traveler, I like to get to the Charles de Gaulle airport early, because I know, no disrespect to France, I love the country, but Charles de Gaulle airport is one of the worst in Europe. It's a major hub. I have some stories to tell you. Holy moly. All right, let me tell you, folks. This is part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news. Shouts out to Chi-City, shouts out to Chirac. We got our shooters out here, okay? That was T. Grizzly. Shouts out to Detroit. I'm in the Windy City, and they're watching. Oh, the feds are watching. They're always watching. Feds are always like this, okay? Now we know for real. I have a lot of interesting stories to tell you, but the reality of the matter is we have we have so many news to cover as well, which is why I'm very early, as a matter of fact, because I'll be heading over to University of Chicago, the mean streets.
Love news.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I needed to get to O Block to stay mobbed up, to be protected. Okay, no, I'm in downtown. What are you talking about? I'm in a goddamn nice hotel as always. But my AR does have the heat sensor. For all the haters out there, if you're wondering what's going on, you know, my AR does have the heat sensor. So it's 9:31 in Los Angeles, but it's actually 11:31 here in. And engaged in a kinetic situation where I was kinetically moved into a detention center inside of the O'Hare Airport, which I will tell you all about in a second. Oh, man, didn't pass the ocular pat down. I believe it was before the ocular pat down. It's the flight manifest that they get ahead of time. They knew who I was, and they were ready to receive me. Let's just say, and it wasn't a very warm welcome. So what's happening? What's happening in Chicago? What the was that? You know, this is only my second time coming back here, and the first time I was here for the DNC got kicked out. Second time I couldn't even enter the state almost. Okay. But yeah, I'll tell you all about it. Let me just blast off real quick because there's so much news to cover. I'm in Chirac talking about my CBP detention. He tried to bring up deserved actual terrorists, tried to bring up like today, what is this guy saying? Hasan, my favorite supporter, he tried to bring up deserved actual terrorists, is that Tectone? Yeah, except also him went to some bars and you know, hung out in the city for a little bit, had a couple drinks.
No one cares about
but that's it. That's all I did yesterday. I landed, I got in, I got detained. It was way too late for me to stream, and so I was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna stream. And I took a shower, I went out to the bars, and that's it. That's all I did in Chicago so far. I did not lick the bean, I didn't touch the bean, I didn't have time to flick the bean. What bars you go to? Nothing good. Start off the story at Charles de Gaulle, 3 hours, man. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna start. I thought I saw your ass at a bar. Maybe. I did get recognized a bunch. I also got recognized while I was walking out of the fucking ICE detention. But I don't think the two Hasan heads that recognized me had any idea that I was like walking out with an ICE agent. They just saw me walk out. And they were like, oh my God, Hasan. Little did they know, I was actually walking out of ICE detainment. But yeah, the feds, dude. They're preying on my downfall. Hold on. Hello? Yes. No, it's fine. You can cancel that then. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. All right, bye. Yeah, that was the feds. Mushy mushy. No, business deals. No, they just don't have sugar-free Red Bull. Anyway, so, all right, where do I begin? Our story begins at Paris's premier international airport, Charles de Gaulle. Okay. Now, normally I'm an experienced traveler, as some of you may know. I'm somewhat of an experienced traveler, and usually, as an experienced traveler, I like to get to the Charles de Gaulle airport early, because I know, no disrespect to France, I love the country, but Charles de Gaulle airport is one of the worst in Europe. It's a major hub, but unfortunately, due to, I think, like, a lack of interest from the managers of any of these companies, where they just refuse to hire, and everything will be fine. I was already worried that I was going to have issues coming into the country already, so I was like, at least on the one side, like, leaving the country of France will not be that big of a problem. And boy, was I wrong.
Preamble.
Okay, boy, was I wrong. So I hit the triple Monty. I had like a generational run. There was massive traffic going in. When you actually drive into the airport, the person that's dropping you off has to get a gate ticket at the gate. The ticket actually didn't work. Like, so we were stuck in traffic with like other cars behind us. Like, a driver had to get out and be like, and wave people away from the gate so that we could actually get to a gate that worked. Stuck behind classic old lady. Okay, I stopped there. Generational 3-hour run at Charles de Gaulle. And then afterwards, I get into the flight and I'm like, all right, finally. The flight was actually fantastic. I slept the entire time. I slept like a goddamn baby. Slept the entire time. Didn't even eat on the flight, which is crazy. Walk in. Instantly, the customs border control agent goes, step aside, sir. I was like, here we fucking go. All right. He goes, step aside, sir. An agent will come in and take you to another location. I was like, wait, is that proper protocol? I was like, sometimes it happens. And I was like, okay. Yeah. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm texting like family. I'm like, this is happening. I'm texting my manager. You know, I was basically I got Lolo on. I was like, listen, you know, I'm going in. All right, I'm freaking going in. It's who knows how long this will take? Who knows what will happen?
This literally, I think, happened once to my buddy. So back in and it's really funny because this was in Canada. This was in Pearson, quite literally. Buddy of mine, he's Egyptian, and he also got like the fucking pat down and everything from like Canadian customs and like border protection while we were like going into us for this would have been our exchange program, because I went on like a foreign exchange thing with my high school. Buddy of mine got the full fucking like 9 yards, the whole fucking meme. Like, he got like a pat down and everything. They didn't take him aside, thankfully, but we knew like the broader reasoning for as to why that fucking happened. It's just like, oh, they did that because he's fucking Arab, because they're fucking just a lot of like border protection people tend to be really fucking racist.
And I had already heard like horror stories from people. There was like that one girl on TikTok that had talked about this, and I thought to myself, all right, it's done. It's happening to me as well. It is what it is. You know, M is real high. I'm about to say M is real high multiple times to get these guys off my back. So I'm waiting in the corner. This Latina ICE agent comes up, picks me to this detention center. I sit down, fluorescent light bulbs, the whole nine. Okay? They have benches in the back of O'Hare Airport where there's like a detention area. Okay, there's a detention area. I'm sitting there. There's like a bunch of terrified families. Okay, there's an old lady in a wheelchair. There's like a mom and daughter behind me. There's some like random dude in front of me. And the way it works is there's a back door, right? And they take your passport, they go to the back door, you don't know what the hell's going on in there. But they sometimes come out and they just say someone's name with their passport in their hands, and they go, you're clear to leave. So they basically, when they bring you to the detention area, they, I guess, do some kind of surveillance on your background to figure out if you are, if you're going to get harassed even further, or if this level of harassment is fine. Okay, and I asked, and I looked around at all the passports that people had to see if there were other American citizens. And lo and behold, at least in the area that I was at, I was the only American citizen. There was another guy that actually had an American passport as well. But like, because I asked the terrified family behind me, I was like, hey guys, if you don't mind me asking, like, do you guys have an American passport? They were like, no. So it turns out it's just they're terrifying the shit out of mostly non-American citizens. Okay, but apparently they're also interested in trying to terrify American citizens as well. So
classic.
They're just like coming in and out. They get this lady in a wheelchair out of there, which I thought was so insane. Old lady in a fucking wheelchair is in the ICE detention area, and they come out with their passport, and they're like, here, you can leave. Okay, so that's one thing, right? Like, I've had secondary searches and stuff done to me before. I've had the, I think it's called the quadruple S. Like, they put the SSSS on your boarding pass, and you always get checked randomly when you get hit with that. Like, that's happened to me a lot in the past. I get GSR swabbed all the time. That stuff is normal. I've experienced that quite a bit. Okay, but this time I didn't even have the quadruple S on my boarding pass, so I was like, all right, it's probably fine. So I wait. Finally, this agent comes out, says, Hasan Piker. I'm like, that's me. Coming with me.
Hasan.
I'm like, oh, brother, here we go. They take me to this back room, okay? And the back room is not great. Everything, the back room is designed in the most hostile way I've ever been inside of a room. The vibes are really fucked back there. Everything is fluorescent light bulb, obviously, but they had these 2 seats that were firmly planted into the ground. Okay, they were complete metal. They were like tiny stools, very uncomfortable, with like braces on the side so you can handcuff someone to them. Okay, and
oh boy,
there was also a seat for like a lawyer. So I sat down on the lawyer seat on the corner to establish dominance because I've watched too many JCS interrogation videos and I knew I had to have command over the room. So I didn't sit in the cuck chair. Instead, I sat in the lawyer chair.
No cuck chair.
And let me tell you, folks, the TikTokers that talked about being detained, they were right. It was an insane fucking situation. So it's very obvious that they knew exactly who the fuck I was. It's very obvious that they knew how to like navigate the conversation.
I'm trying to think, like, TikTokers who have been detained. Why have a bunch of TikTokers been detained, right? Like, from like traveling purposes. Like, again, you know, I've done like the song and dance, like the stupid ass meme before of like, hey guys, this is kind of the consequences of you know, having a bunch of quotas, necessary quota system for fucking your fucking immigrations and customs enforcement, you know, for like federal police. Personally, I think that's a bad thing, guys. Now, that may be a ridiculous, radical statement. That, you know, that might be a bad thing, but you know.
And it was a really, really interesting conversation that took place. It was very cordial, okay? It was very cordial, which I thought it was strange how cordial it was, because I've had run-ins with, like, cops in the past. I've had run-ins with feds in the past. Well, I guess the FBI was very cordial as well when I had some talks with them in the past. But overall, I was not expecting CBP agents to be cordial. I will say that, okay? Now, having said that, the entire process is supposed to be intimidating, so it's fucking bullshit. Like, suck my dick, cordial or whatever, okay? I think they were being cordial because they wanted me to say something that was incriminating and say something that was enough to justify further detention from that point on. And let me tell you, they certainly did do that. So he knew exactly who the fuck I was, but he was basically like broaching the conversation in a way where it was like free-flowing, where in the process of discovery, he was adding on additional talking points. He always made it seem as though he was asking certain things that after discovering in the process of that conversation, he would ask additional questions. So, you know, he's like, oh, what are you doing in Chicago? And I was very revealing. I was like, well, I was in France because I want to take my family out for Mother's Day to France, but I had to come back early from France, even though today's technically Mother's Day, because I have a speaking engagement at University of Chicago. And he was like, oh, what kind of speaking engagement? He's like, I don't know, some like journalism school stuff. And he's like, oh, well, since you mentioned that, he kept saying, oh, well, since you mentioned that, what?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the thing that's gonna like tip it off all is like it's the leading questions shit, right? Like, obviously, that's the shit that makes it the most sus. It's like, what's going on here? That's a little weird, and you know, makes it. It's like, why are you asking these kinds of questions of me? It's a little weird. It's a little sus. Seems kind of strange.
You do as a job? And I was like, I'm a Twitch streamer. And he's like, well, since you mentioned that you were a Twitch streamer, what kind of things do you stream about? And at first I was like, do I just tell him I play video games? Because I don't think this motherfucker's gonna believe me if I say I just play video games to him, right? So I was just like, yeah.
Also, yeah, there's like no benefit of like Hasan, I think, like lying here whatsoever. Like, you have to tell them what they want, basically, like quite literally. Otherwise, they're gonna like. They'll come up with like some fucking idiotic bullshit just to like snag you up on, like, because these are federal agents, right? Like, they have a lot more authority to like fuck with your shit, way more than like not municipal, but like state agencies and shit like that. Because we're talking about like fucking ICE here and shit, dude.
I play video games, but I also do current events sometimes, drama, internet. And he's like, oh, do you talk about, since you mentioned that, you talk about the things that you talk about, do you talk about the news? And I was like, yeah, I talk about the news. And he kept saying, okay, so when you talk about the news, do you talk about the war? And I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, do you talk about Trump? And that was the first time where I was like, what the fuck is this question? Like, I literally straight up told him, I was like, why are you asking me this? Like,
that is definitely a very weird question.
And it was interesting because
vibes
the dude asked so many insane questions, none of which is illegal, by the way. I just need you to understand, nothing I have done thus far is illegal, as in nothing I've done.
Again, yeah, like, because this is the thing, like, this is quite literally First Amendment stuff right here, right? He got detained by the state, and people are asking questions about his, like, sort of speech. If he gets, like, you know, like, sort of further prosecuted or whatever, there could be potential like free speech questions that are immediately arise, right? Because he's not doing anything illegal, not really, as much as like these probably like fucking dumbass slop tubers probably think. But then again, those guys are idiot charlatans and they don't really know much of anything. Hasan is not. He's not doing anything illegal. He's not doing anything wrong. This is all speech that's protected by the First Amendment. But well, you know, do a lot of these like other dumbass motherfuckers? They fucking know any of this stuff? Not really. They don't get it.
And online is illegal as of now, if that makes sense. Now, laws may change in the future, and they might actually start prosecuting speech, which I do fear is the goal of this administration. But so far, everything I've done is fully protected under the First Amendment. Okay. And none of these questions are actually valid questions to ask. But I was entertaining it because I didn't want it, one, I didn't want to present it as being difficult because I didn't want to extend the attention. And two, I actually wanted to see how far I could take it. Maybe it was fucked up of me to do that. Maybe it was not appropriate for me to do that, to play fast and loose with a person that has complete control over my life in that very moment. But I wanted to see like what they were trying to get away, like what they were trying to take from this conversation. And so, you know, instead of just pleading the fifth as I'm supposed to do in situations like this, I just kept giving him answers. And there were definitely areas where I was very revealing about.
Yeah, because if he does plead the fifth, like, because like, what's gonna happen here? The dude's the one in the full control. Like, if they fuck with him, or like, not that they fuck with him. Like, if he gives them like a wrong, like, if he lies, like I was saying before, if Hasan were to lie about anything, like, the consequences would be way worse, right? There would be a lot of problems for Hasan, because they would be able to like bring him further into, I guess, the fucking back rooms or some shit in order to just like potentially prosecute him, even like fucking deport him, right? That's like that seems like silly and ridiculous to say, but it's totally possible. Like, I don't think it's like hyperbolic or anything for that to potentially happen. Like, very well, like, given the sort of like how the current administration is, like, they could have fucking potentially deported his ass, much to the chagrin probably of a lot of differing content creators, more than likely, because like let's just keep it a $150. He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't. Like, what has he said? What has he done in order to like warrant like him getting I don't know, like yeeted out of the country? And he's like criticized certain people before, but otherwise like nothing really, to be honest. But
my position, knowing full well that they know exactly what they're looking for, I saw no reason to hold back on certain things. So I said, I don't like Trump. I was like, what are you going to do? It's protected by the First Amendment. I don't like Trump. Yes.
That's
right?
true.
Like, I was like, I'm not fond of him. I don't like him. He said he was going to end the wars. He hasn't ended the wars. What the fuck is up with that? You know? And the guy actually was very sympathetic. The agent was very sympathetic. JCS-style interrogation technique to come across as sympathetic, to like invoke some kind of positive feelings out of me in an effort to like get me to reveal something maybe that'll trip me up, or because he just genuinely was sympathetic and he had the vibes of someone who was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, right? But he was like, listen, I'm Iraqi, so I know. And let me tell you, I do think that him being Iraqi played a big role in this, because if he wasn't, there was a lot of fucking Redditor-ass white boys that are at Customs and Border Patrol at O'Hare Airport. I saw them walk by. There was a dude who looked like he was like 25 max, but he was balding, and I knew immediately if that motherfucker's my...
That is so fucking funny, dude. That's so fucking funny. 25 and fucking balding, Redditor-ass looking white dudes. Yeah, he probably would have been cooked, right? Because they would probably do like the whole like dumbass like, oh, that's Hasan, and I've been on the Ethan subreddit and I fucking hate Hasan so much, and shit like that. They probably would have fucking gone after him for sure.
Agent, I'm screwed. I'm going to CCOT. This dude is going to literally fucking cook me. So I got a little lucky. All right, I will admit. So basically, I think the reason why they sent the Iraqi CBP agent is because they bracket you into different categories. For me, they wanted to conduct an investigation about my involvement with Hamas and my involvement with the Houthis, and or they suspected my involvement with Hezbollah. Straight up. That's literally what this conversation was about. And it's not even a joke. Like, they straight up fucking tried to get something out of me that I think they could use to basically detain me permanently, which is insane. Because there is no direct connection or direct involvement. So I'll say this much. So we're talking. I'm telling him like, oh, I'm U Chicago. I'm going to be speaking there at the journalism school. I told him like, I don't like Donald Trump, and I was like, so why are you guys doing this? And he's like, oh, it's just like routine. It's a routine process. I was like, it doesn't feel too routine. And basically, my big fear from the entire situation was like, if they were to ask for my phone, not that there's anything incriminating on my phone, but I don't want the fucking federal government inside of my phone beyond all of the times where they probably have been engaging in like warrantless surveillance on my phone or whatever the fuck. I don't like, it's not your business. You know what I mean? It's not your fucking business. Like, it's a goddamn free country. Like, there's privacy laws for this kind of shit, right? So, for those of you who don't know, by the way, they can't actually unlock your phone, but if you have biometrics on your phone, they could technically use that and put the phone to your face and unlock it that way. Hold on, let me fix this. Let me fix the banner. So, just so you know, they could technically do that. Okay, they could technically do that, but there's a trick. Either you completely either you get a burner phone when you're traveling internationally, or if you have your regular phone, you can just do a passcode by either canceling biometrics, or if you forgot to do so, if you forgot to cancel biometrics like your Face ID, what you can do is click it 5 times. If you click hold 5 times, in a row, it will actually disable Face ID, and it will force you to put your passcode in. And because there are laws against like the agents not being able to force you to put your passcode in, they can't actually access your phone like that. Now, there's different methods of how they can access your phone. From what I understand, they can also put it on a computer and just like plug it into a machine, and the machine just basically takes all of the information on your phone. So it is what it is. I don't know if you can actually do that if your phone is on. But I was thinking about all these things. I'd already unlocked the biometrics. Like I disallowed biometrics, and it's a Faraday cage once you get into the detention center anyway. So you can't actually send any fucking text messages once you're in there. It's there's no access to the internet. But I'm sitting there and they're asking me about Trump. They're asking me about like Hamas, and he kept saying stuff. He kept saying stuff like, "Do you like Hamas? Like, do you support Hamas? Do you think Hamas is a resistance group? Do you think Hamas is a terrorist group or a resistance group?" Like he just kept asking over and over again, right?
Yeah, they're looking to try to get him on something. Like that's not. I don't think that's like hyperbolic to say whatsoever. They're trying to get him on something. These are some fucking weird fucking questions, dude.
And I kept repeating the same statement over and over. I kept saying a couple different things. One, in terms of like Israel and all the wars, I was like, I'm on the side of civilians. I want the endless bloodshed to end. I am a pacifist. I want wars to end. I just kept repeating that over and over again. Every single time he asked me a question, I just kept repeating that. And every single time he asked me a question, a leading question about Hamas, I kept saying, the United States State Department recognizes Hamas as a terrorist organization. The United States State Department recognizes Hamas as a terrorist organization. So, like, he just kept asking me over and over again, like Hamas, Houthis, all this shit, trying to be like, oh, do you support them? Do you like them? Like, what do you think about them? Which I thought was fucking insane, because the reality of the matter is, okay, up until this very moment, if you were to say, as an American citizen, you stand 10 toes down with Hamas, or you stand 10 toes down with the Houthis, or whatever the fuck, they can't deny you entry into the country for that shit. But I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do. So I was like, I'm not going to go beyond it. I'm not going to go beyond just like reiterating over and over again. The American government's position is that Hamas is a terrorist organization. But then he just kept asking me about the Houthis, and at that point I was like, listen. He's like, well, do you agree with the terrorist designation for the Houthis? And I said, I'm of the Brookings Institute mindset that in 2020, when Donald Trump initially designated the Houthis as a terror organization, that was a major mistake. I talked about these issues from an academic context with humanitarian rights organizations and with academics and with journalists. As a matter of fact, this is perfectly perfectly completely protected under First Amendment laws, and therefore, I don't understand what the reason why we're having this conversation is. And I kept saying that over and over again. At which point he just like kind of gave up. But what I thought was really interesting was, and I even followed it up with like, I call balls. I said I call balls.
Because here's the thing with like Hasan is definitely going to be way more like, he talks about this shit every fucking day. He's going to be quite knowledgeable on it. And yeah, like. The sort of like justifications that the Trump administration used to call the Houthis terrorists are very dubious at best. It was mostly in line with mostly in line with what the Israelis and the Saudis want in particular, because that's like who's fucking trying to bread the butter, right? Like, let's be honest here. Like those are like the two main guys in terms of like the war, because what, it was 2021, right? The peace in Yemen, when was the ceasefire agreement signed in Yemen? 2012, because it's been like on and off, right? The ceasefire process. 2011, 2015, 2019, and then there's 2020 for the COVID pandemic, and here's the whoops, click on Saudi Arabia, don't want Saudi Arabia. Brokered by the UN in 2022, April 2nd. And then 2023, United Nations International Committee of the Red Cross reported that they, kept their upheld their end of the bargain. Whatever they, talked about. But yeah. And the Houthis were designated as a terrorist organization for the behest of the Saudi Arabians. It was in 2021, so it would have been Biden who did that. When were the Houthis designated as a terrorist organization? Here you go. President Trump designated the Iranian-backed Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization in January 2021. So just as he was going out, he made them a terrorist. He put them on the designated them as a foreign terrorist organization. Definitely at the behest of Israel and the Saudi Arabians. If I know anything about as well with Trump, he did that for their interests, not because of like anyone else's particular interests, specifically for them. So.
And I, there are things that Trump has done that I actually agree with, and I'm not shy about saying those things, even though initially he said he was going to end all these wars. He hasn't done so. I think these wars are unnecessary, they're costly, and a lot of civilians die in the process. I don't think it's appropriate. I think it's very inappropriate, and it must end, right? Like that's my position. But I do think that Trump did a good thing where he implemented a ceasefire with the Houthis. So when he does stuff like that, when I agree with him, I tell him what's what. Like I say it. When I agree with Trump in a decision, I'm open about it, right?
What
so
the?
I explained that to him, and I just yapped away over and over and over again. And what I found to be particularly interesting was in the first half of the conversation, it was just like basically a fact-finding mission, right? Try to get me to say something that I think would be of interest. In the second part of the conversation, there were some real actionable items that he presented that, depending on how I answer those questions, like I'm fucking going to jail. Because the first stuff was just illegal for him to ask me those questions and completely idiotic and ridiculous. And I think they did it because they know who the fuck I am, and they wanted to
They wanted to get something
the fear of God in me,
on him.
not knowing that I'm a stubborn piece of shit, and that's not going to work at all, right? The second half of the conversation was actually like, because he left, went 35 minutes, came back, and then he asked like actionable items. But one thing that I will take note of that I thought was very interesting was the fact that a lot of the shit that like the Ethan Kleins of the world have like cried about over and over again were unironically brought up in that fucking conversation, and I was shocked. Okay, not like the bleep sword, obviously, but like the Houthi. Like, did you interview a Houthi? It says here that you interviewed a Houthi, and I was like, or was he actually a Houthi? And I was like, he's not. You can look to all of the reporting that came up afterwards and before I interviewed him.
That is actually, yeah, it's insane, dude. The fucking, it's the fucking literal dumbass fucking Ethan Klein propaganda. Literally, these fucking sloptubers are just allowing the fucking state to be able to detain people. That is fucking insane, bro. Like, God, that is actually nuts, dude.
That he's not a Houthi, that he is a regular Yemeni citizen. I said, like, his name is Rashid al-Haddad. He's not even a Shia. And the dude, luckily, again, Iraqi, went, oh, yeah, that's right. That's a Sunni last name. Al-Haddad is a Sunni last name. So
yeah, because I guarantee you, if it was one of these, like, stupid, dumb fuck Reddit motherfuckers, they're not going to know that. I guarantee it. If it was, like, a fucking, I don't know, like, Reddit fucking peruser or some shit, or, like, some other fucking dumbass, they would not have known that Al-Haddad is not, like, is not Al-Houthi. That it's a completely different fucking religious sect. So, yeah, I guess in that respect, that is how Hasan lucked out, more or less. Because, you know, he got someone who's actually, like, fucking knowledgeable and stuff like this. It's insane, man. It's actually nuts.
He must not have been a Houthi. And the very fact that that was, like, a point of contention that could have fucking gotten me arrested is insane. And I genuinely, in that moment, was thinking, like, these fucking dumbass sloptubers are actually playing with fucking fire. And I even thought about not even mentioning this because I was like, I don't want to give them any sort of, like, power over the situation. But, like, the reality of the matter is 100% the Trump administration is inadvertently working with a lot of these fucking dipshits. These dipshits are playing a formative role in getting people in trouble with the law. Okay? That is literally the case. It was shocking that that was the case, but it is the case. And
yeah, because we know with, like, Doge and stuff like that, like, fucking, like, Big Balls and all these other fucking complete dumbasses, I guarantee you, without a shadow of a fucking doubt, that a lot of these fucking motherfuckers watch fucking slop content. Like, come on, let's keep it $1.50, okay? These motherfuckers definitely watch fucking slop content. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it so fucking for real. They definitely do. If you think otherwise, like, if you think I'm being, like, fucking hyperbolic in any way, shape, or form, like, dude, come on, man. They totally are. And it's insane. Hasan almost got fucking detained because of it. Nuts, dude.
It's actually very frustrating that that is the case, that this administration doesn't care. That's why they work with Baytar. That's why they work with all these other fucking insane groups. The Barry Weisses of the world actually have motion in this goddamn admin, okay? So,
Barry Weiss. Yeah, Barry Weiss is also, she's fucking insane, dude. Like, she is nuts.
Cheering this on over at ESUB? Yeah, I know. They can suck my dick. Liberals, by the way. Cheering on one of the largest progressive voices in the country getting detained by the fucking Trump Gestapo. Like, what a wonderful progressive audience they have over there.
Progressive.
Anyway, they're fucking straight up fascist at this point. So my point is, it's crarazy that, like, these were actual questions. Like, they asked me about my Twitch bans, right? Okay? And I talked about blowback. I talked about how, I said America deserved 9/11 and it was misconstrued. I do have sometimes, I use hyperbolic language and it gets taken out of context or whatever. And he agreed with the blowback sentiment in terms of, like, the 9/11 stuff. You're dumb. Yeah, no, I told him that. I was like, yeah, they asked me about my fucking Twitch bans, chat. It's not even a joke. They asked me about fucking Twitch chat. Like, Twitch bans. Not Twitch chat, but Twitch bans. The other Twitch ban he asked me about was the last one that I got banned. And I explained to him, like, this is, man, you really talk way too much. Lawyer would be pretty upset at you. Dude, what are you talking about? I know that.
Dude, what the fuck do you mean? Like, you talk way too much. What the fuck else is he supposed to do? If he doesn't talk, like, there could be credible sort of, like, allegations saying, like, oh, this guy's not fucking talking to fucking feds, bro. Nah, dude. The feds are the ones that you have to fucking talk with, unfortunately. Because if you're withholding information from the fucking feds, dude, you're gonna get fucking cooked. So there's no other choice but to talk in that instance.
Under normal circumstances, I'm supposed to say, I want a lawyer, I don't want to talk to you. But nothing I'm doing is illegal, and I also wanted to see what would happen. Do you understand? I wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to actually see this experience, which is why instead of immediately fucking lawyering up, I was like, no, I'm gonna entertain this. I'm gonna see what they actually are trying to get out of this. And I'm glad I did this because the reality is I'm really fucking privileged, okay? Remember, I'm a public person. And also, I have enough money to be able to fight back against this sort of thing. And they know who the fuck I am. So obviously, the reason for why they're doing that is, I think, to try to create an environment of fear, to try to get people like myself, or at least like others that would be in my shoes that don't have that same level of security, to shut the fuck up. And for me, I'm gonna use the privilege that I have in that moment to try.
Yeah, I pretty much 100% agree with Hasan on this case. Like, there's no fucking... Like, why the fuck else would they do this, right? Like, they wanted to fucking be like, make an example out of him and tell him to shut your fucking bitch ass up, okay? Fuck you. Eat shit. We hate you. Suffer. This is actually insane, dude.
And see what the fuck they're doing, okay? Because every single thing that they ask me, trying to get me to say something like, oh, I support Hamas or whatever, is literally not allowed. Like, they are not, what the fuck do you mean? Like, why is this denying me entry into the country of my birth? Like, this is my birthright, I'm an American citizen. You can't just stop me at the fucking border and be like, what's your opinion on Donald Trump? You're not allowed to enter the nation. Like, that's fucking bullshit. So, that was the first half, like I said. They asked about the Twitch fans, they asked about, like, the Rick Scott statement. And I was like, listen, I laughed. I was like, I'm not calling for the assassination of a city senator to be fucking insane. But instead, I explained to him, like, I was talking about the hypocrisy of the Republicans, blah, blah, blah. I explained away all that shit. And he was understanding. Then he went back and he came back. And the actionable items that came up afterwards was basically asking me about if I'd ever been in contact with Hamas, if I'd ever been in contact with the Houthis, directly or indirectly, if I'd ever actually been in contact with Hezbollah, if I'd actually ever offered financial support or logistics or any kind of support to Hamas, Hezbollah.
Which, yeah, Hasan obviously has not done, but all these stupid fucking dumb fuck slop tubers keep saying he does, constantly. And they get fucking millions upon millions of views. And guess what? Since a lot of these motherfuckers are not responsible with their platforms, they're stupid fucking morons, incredibly fucking lazy. They don't give much of a shit at all about their fucking positions or the platforms that they have, and are incredibly sloppy, lazy, dog shit fucking content creators. Whoa, like, should anyone be, like, fundamentally fucking surprised that, like, you know, that there could be some potential consequences of that because of how lazy these motherfuckers are? It's actually insane that this happened. It's crazy.
Or Houthis. They straight up asked me that. I laughed. I said, no, of course not. But yeah, that was, once again, these are questions that they're asking. But one thing that I thought was really interesting was in the actionable side of things, they also asked, have you ever interviewed a member of Hamas? Have you ever had a communication or correspondence with a member of Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis? Now, what's really fucking insane about that is that as someone who works in media, sometimes I do actually do journalism, right? As I've maintained this position over and over again. And I said that I would have given the opportunity to talk to someone that is a part of the Ansar Allah movement, a Houthi, or even Hamas, or even Hezbollah, right? I think that I have the right to do so. And what was interesting, you don't do journalism, you grift. I know, Chatter. That's why the fucking federal government is trying to arrest me. Yes, because I'm grifting too hard. That's what it is. Thank you.
True.
Yes, your fucking dumbass slop tuber is correct. I'm grifting. So what's interesting, asking that's a violation of prior restraint. So that part, like, those are the questions that are, like, actionable, right? Like, those are how do you even classify a member of Hamas? It's not like even Hamas issues passports. Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? But that
it's
the part where they were like, if you answer yes to any of that, that's when, you know, there's like actually illegal stuff in there. Having said that, there's one part of it that wasn't illegal, which is being in communications or being in contact with someone Hamas. Like, that is a part of journalism you actually can do. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, you can interview ISIS. Like, what?
That is true. Yeah, exactly. Like, hasn't Vice done, like, interviews with, like, members of, like, terrorist organizations before? I'm pretty sure they have, right? But, like, you know, all these motherfuckers probably wouldn't have a problem with that, right? But, you know, it's bad when fucking himbo, bumbling dumb fuck himbo does it or some shit. This is fucking wild, dude. But, you know, slop tubers. We love slop tube.
What are we talking about? The notion that this would be an issue for the Customs and Border Patrol is fucking ridiculous, okay? I mean, Donald Trump is in contact with Hamas. He had a fucking envoy directly talk to Hamas a couple months prior. He's in direct contact with the fucking Houthis. Like, what are you talking?
He's been in fucking direct contact with the fucking Taliban before, right? Like, how do you think they fucking, like, he released fucking prisoners who were part of the fucking Taliban, Donald Trump, but he's not a fucking getting detained by Customs and Border Protection. Like, do none of these, like, fucking slop tube dipshits have, like, any understanding of this? That's a rhetorical question. Yeah, they definitely fucking don't.
Talking about. And so is drop site. Like, the idea that this will deny you entry into the country is fucking bullshit. Like, what are we talking about? What do you mean? Like, what kind of insane double standard is there, right? And so that part was frustrating. And the interview interrogation, whatever you want to call it, that basically ended with me asking, like, so what is the purpose of this? Like, am I being detained? And because I was like, you know that I'm going to talk about this. And I was like, a lot of people have talked about this, like, detainment structure. And he was like, yeah, people really exaggerate. The people really exaggerate how these things go. And I was like, well, it is not a great situation to be in, you know, like. What do you mean? And yeah, he was like, yeah, there's been a lot of reporting on
like, yeah,
you know, the conditions in situations like this in detainment. But you're not technically detained. I was like, so I can leave? Like, I asked him, like, I was like, am I detained? And he's like, no. And I was like, all right, so what's the purpose of this entire situation? I can just walk out right now. And basically,
yeah, that's true. He could just leave, right? It's like, okay, am I being detained? Like, this is the same shit that fucking like who are like those fucking lawyers who tell you first lesson, fucking shut the fuck up. Quite literally, like, it's just like, am I allowed to go? Am I being detained? And then you can just fucking leave, right? They say, like, well, yeah, actually you're not being detained. It's like, yeah, you can just leave. You can do that. Just be like, all right, I'm going. See ya, bye, idiot.
when I said that, the interview ended. So I don't know if that was something that I should have said from the start. Am I being detained? You know, what's the deal here? But basically, yeah, it was an illegal pretense. Like, well, that's your Fourth Amendment right. No, you don't have. Okay, chatters. I need you to understand something. So after I said am I being detained or whatever, he was like, no, well, you know, he didn't like abruptly end it. He kept asking some questions, but it pretty much ended after that. And I don't know if that was like, I got lucky there, because when I asked like, am I free to, that kind of stopped the process a little bit. And I don't know if that's the reason why I didn't have them look through my phone, but I wasn't planning on letting them look through my phone anyway. That was my point. Like, there was a line where I was going to say, I'm done with this. Either fucking arrest me or, you know, let me go. I don't know what the fuck's happening here. And I got detained. I didn't get detained. Yes, chatter. Yes. ICE agents took me to a detention center. That is a de facto detention. Like, what are you talking about? The total runtime of it was like 2 hours.
That's how that works, yep.
Which was definitely faster than I thought it was going to be, I will admit. And I probably should have asked, am I being detained from the start? And I wonder what would have happened. But I basically asked him, like, do you think this is gonna happen again? Right? I was like, is this gonna happen again? Hold on. I asked, like, you know, am I gonna be detained in the future? And he said, maybe. And he gave me this piece of paper, this sheet from Homeland Security. What is DHS trip? Okay, and you can, I guess, submit an inquiry at dhs.gov/trip and ask why I was stopped. You will be prompted to describe your particular concerns and experience, provide contact information to which a response will be directed, and be assigned a case number to help you monitor progress of your inquiry, which I will do. Okay, I will do this. And he basically said, you know, you can figure out what not to do so that this doesn't happen again. And I suspect that what not to do is just don't be a fucking political commentator that speaks about American foreign policy.
Yeah, just don't talk about foreign policy, guys.
Now, why did I tell you guys about this experience? Okay, why did I tell you about this entire experience? Like, because in my mind, I thought maybe I shouldn't reveal this stuff, because I think like the goal here is to put fear into people's hearts, to have a chilling effect on speech. That like the government is unafraid of intimidating you in illegal ways. Okay, the government is now officially willing and able to intimidate you for your speech. That is a direct violation of the First Amendment. I'm an auditor. I'm no big city libertarian. I'm no Mr. Admiral Maritime Law. But the reality of the matter is that as of this administration, they are totally willing and able to actually come after you for your speech, and even with like ridiculous shit. Like, they're willing and able to go along with like stuff that gets written in the free press, or willing and able to go along with shit that even fucking Redditors bring up. Okay, that's how stupid and silly the situation has gotten. Now, of course, does this stop me from saying whatever the fuck I want to say? Of course not. Don't be ridiculous. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it was to give you more insight into what the government is doing and to speak out against this sort of stuff, because I do have a position of privilege here, and I want to make sure that like if they can do this to me, like they probably are willing to do this to others as well. But you should know your rights. That you should not be fearful, and you should not worry, especially if you're an American citizen, that these guys are gonna come after you and like arrest you or some shit. Okay, was your interview recorded? I don't know, but it is pretty wild, I will say. As someone who's been held up in,
I could probably it probably was bugged. Let's be honest here. Like, Hasan is prominent enough to have like something like that probably happen to him, right? I don't think that's ridiculous to say. Shit, there probably was a bug in there. There's no way, right?
Airports many times over. It was actually shocking. It was actually shocking that these guys like. These guys totally fucking grabbed me, knowing exactly who I am, knowing that I will most likely talk about this, with the hopes that I think that they would at least stoke some fear and threaten people like myself, and then also threaten others as a byproduct of this. I mean, it backfired in my situation, but I hope this doesn't discourage others from speaking out as well. It's fucking bullshit. They don't have the right to do this, okay? They do not have a right to do this. If you don't already know, your ops are doing mass email campaigns to the feds to try and get this exact same thing to happen. Yeah, I know. They can suck my cock for all of my fucking dumbass ops. I think it's really crazy. I think it's really, really crazy that the government is willing and able to work with like genuine schizophrenic stalkers, whether they be Beitar or any other group. It is actually wild that they're willing and able to work with these people. It blows my mind. But you know, that is where we're at. It also blows my fucking mind that there are people who see this kind of stuff and go, "Oh, that's wonderful. It's like swatting." But this time, it's the fucking federal swatting that we can do. We can get the federal agents to like jail people that my favorite content creator doesn't like. But the problem is airports are not constitutional free zones. There's a lot of ICE pushes to make you comply with them. That's not entirely correct. Lesbian Boulevard. There is precedent after years and years of there's years and years of precedent post 9/11 war on terror world where they have actually created a structure where they can get away with violating your Fourth Amendment rights in airports. Like it's an illegal gray area. But yeah, here was low level rules take. DHS flagging and detaining one of U.S.'s largest left-wing voices for their political opinions, while the Trump admin suggests they might suspend habeas corpus, does not portend well for the future. Yeah, that's where we're at. What was the reason for the detainment?
Yeah, Stephen Miller has been talking about suspending habeas corpus. Yeah, that's true. And what, this has also been fucking happening to like a bunch of TikTokers, like fucking Hasan was mentioning earlier, right? Like they could just like randomly fucking detain you for like no fucking reason, which is pretty fucking crazy, pretty wild. This is actually fucking nuts, bro. Like, what the fuck, dude?
It's because I am flagged in the flight manifest. Even ACLU and most civil rights organizations acknowledge that SCOTUS precedent that effectively erases Fourth Amendment protections in border entry zones such as international airports. They more so suggest either wiping your devices or bringing burner devices. Yeah. Saw you at O'Hare and tried to get a selfie with you, but your private security took you into a VIP room to avoid normies like me. Didn't realize you were too good for your fans. Some socialist you turned out to be. Good one. There was actually two Hasan heads that, as I was walking out of ICE detention, there were two Hasan heads. They probably had no idea that I was walking out of ICE detention with a fucking agent in front of me. But is this going to change the way you travel? No,
sure.
But it does actually gum up the works a little bit in terms of going to Cuba. I did want to go to Cuba, but now I don't know. And no, I'm not going to fucking go to Kat's campaign office, chat. What are you guys, stupid? I'm sorry. I know she's excited, but you guys don't have to literally fucking be like, hey, can you, instead of covering the news, go to Kat's campaign office? I can't do that today, chat. There is a shit ton of news that I have to get to, and then at fucking 4 p.m. I have to leave to go to the university.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. He wants to go to Cuba, huh? That could certainly cause problems, because Now he's been fucking detained by DHS. I guarantee you, because what currently Cuba is still up on the terrorist watch list, like quite literally, which that's like insane to fucking think about that they're even on there to begin with. That's wild, but even though they're like still under embargo and everything, like guys, the terrorism of Cuba, they sent some doctors to you. Oh no, what terrorism? Oh, crazy. That's also like pretty fucking nuts, right? Because he could potentially get detained again by I mean, maybe it wouldn't even necessarily be DHS at this point, but it'd probably be like the feds or something, like what, the FBI being like, hey, what's up? I see you talked with you went to Cuba. What's up with that? And it's just like, I did like nothing there, dude. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, okay, man, sure. And some like fucking complete nonsense can happen from there. But yeah, they're like operating off of the information from fucking stupid slop tubers. This is like the fucking point that we're getting to, which is why it's just like I go as like hard as I can against these like complete fucking morons, because it's just like this is like the sort of byproduct. This is the consequence of like this, just, I don't know, dreck nonsense, idiocy. Like, quite literally, like, anyone could just seemingly get, like, randomly detained for, like, any fucking idiotic reason, especially, like, with all the talk about, like, yeah, we're gonna think about starting to, suspend habeas corpus, and we're gonna, like, take away as many, like, civil rights and liberties and freedoms as possible. Like, motherfucker, if you don't think that, like, these pieces of shit aren't gonna come after you, they're gonna also come after you. Like, if they suspend all the fucking civil rights, what? They're gonna go after people like fucking Hasan first, obviously, because they're the fucking voices that can push back against this shit. But, you know, none of these, like, stupid slop tubers, these fucking morons, these complete troglodytes, what, you think any of these dumbasses care about that? Fuck no.
University of Chicago, deliver a speech. Okay, there's a lot going on today. I'm sorry, but I forgot. There was other questions they asked, like, have you traveled to the Middle East? Have you been to any of the Gulf states? All this shit. And you know, it is what it is. I'm not discouraged. I'm not intimidated. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I just wanted to give you guys. I know Kat wants us to hang out. I can't do that today. Did they ask who funds you? No, they asked if I funded them, not the other way around. So that was my Customs and Border Patrol experience, and yeah, it's just like pure intimidation tactics, and it was very similar to the experience that one TikTok. But luckily, I never got to the point of having them go through my phone, and that was my red line. Like, no matter what, that was where I was gonna be like, no, you can't do that, and you know, arrest me then if you want to. Is this speech open to the public? We are going to be live streaming it. We're live streaming the speech. Okay. Did they ask why you say you're a gaming streamer despite not playing games? Yes. Any plans for Chicago meetup? No. I'm gonna be flying out after my speech. I'm going to University of Chicago. I'm going to University of Chicago to talk to. I'm going to University of Chicago to talk with this Ed, and we're just going to do like a back and forth. I think there's like questions. They had the most signups ever for any fucking speaking engagement on the campus, and they're very excited, and I'm very excited as well. Where was it? There was, this is the experience that closely resembled, by the way. ICE detains a woman who runs anti-Trump TikTok. She's a U.S. citizen born and raised. She was detained for hours. As agents searched her phone and social media, even demanding financial statements on how much she earns on TikTok. They never asked me for my financial statements either. The woman who goes by I of Saab was returning from a European vacation to the Miami International Airport with a valid global re-entry card issued to her as a U.S. citizen, but she also had global entry. Do you charge speaker fees? No. Sometimes, not usually. How worried were you about actually being arrested? I did not know. I had no idea. I had no idea if I was going to be fucking arrested or not. I didn't know if this was like. I did not know that this was going to be a moment where I get. I didn't know if this was going to be a moment where I was going to be the precedent-setting court case. You know what I mean? Like, that is definitely a worry that I have for sure. It's something that I think about because eventually, somewhere down the line, someone is going to be the precedent-setting court case of whether or not someone gets prosecuted for speech and speech alone. Because the line right now is material support, and that line is being blurred by this current administration with Mahmoud Khalil, with Mohsen.
You know, with Mohsen Madawi and everything, yeah. He is correct there. Like, what do they mean by material support? Well, did Mahmoud Khalil and Mohsen Madawi provide material support? Like, Ramesa Öztürk, did she provide, like, material support? No. Like, no. There was no money sent to, like, Hamas or any of these organizations. It's fucking wild, dude. Just, like, hearing about this. Yeah, he got fucking detained. And this is like, hey, dumbass fucking, hey, slop tubers, I'm jingling the fucking keys. We're jingling the keys. Got your fucking attention here. This is like literally how it fucking happens, right? Quite literally. Like, these motherfuckers had a contributing factor. I think they pretty much had a contributing factor because they like, just kind of like based off of the nature of a lot of the leading questions that were asked. Like, you have to think to yourself for like literally 3 seconds. Like, why are these like particular questions being asked in the way that they are? Like why? This is like strange and confusing. Well, this is why. Like, because. Whoa, crazy, like, a bunch of, like, motherfuckers want to, like, detain Hasan. they want to fucking detain him, for fuck's sake. For what was his crime? His crime was, I don't know, being too much of a himbo or whatever the fuck. It's insane, dude, actually, that we are getting to the point where, like, Hasan can just be like randomly fucking detained for like what was his crime? Saying that bombing Palestinian children was bad. It's honestly it's nuts, dude. Like I can't like I'm just like trying to think of like what else can be said about like something like this. Is that I don't know, man. It's insane. It's insane. It really really is. Like just the fact that like quite literally you can get like I don't know owned or some shit. I don't even know how like I'm trying to like put this exactly. The fact that he can like get detained and like potentially arrested for this shit is just fucking nuts to me, man. It really really is. That and this is like unfortunately the sort of like situation that we find ourselves in because of like all these like fucking slop tube fucking pieces of shit, dude. Quite literally. All this like stupid dumbass propaganda that's like constantly like swirling around and just complete nonsense that's being said on the fucking daily is leading to potentially people getting like fucking arrested, their rights suspended, and you know then potentially getting completely yeeted out of the country over what exactly I don't know. Like my favorite slop tuber said that Hasan was a terrorist, so I don't know, therefore he must be a terrorist. It's fucking insane that it's gotten to this fucking point, dude. That's like I don't know, like what else is there really to be said about this besides I don't know, my hatred of sloptube. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think I just hate sloptube. I hate sloptube. I hate them. 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 And like I've said this before, but it's gonna get a lot worse potentially, right? Because of like just the like sheer amount of power that has been concentrated more and more so in like the executive. They have like vested interests that stop stuff like this because they just want to like get away with like more and more horrific crimes constantly. There's definitely interests at play to stop voices like Hasan's from being able to promulgate themselves further and further within like I don't know like the sort of like broader cultural zeitgeist. Like I don't know, the fact that it's gotten like this ridiculous is just like that's the Jesus Christ kind of like just the crazy thing about this. It's all because of fucking just YouTube slop. That's the most ridiculous part about this. The sort of like I don't know triggering factor, the sort of like main contributing factor, are all because of like dumbass slop tubers who have no fucking idea what they're talking about. Like motherfuckers like Ethan Klein potentially getting Hasan put in fucking like federal jail because like you know he's a fucking weirdo loser who has like a conniption about you know, a dumbass fucking himbo. It's just insane that it's gotten to this point. I don't know. It's just nuts that we've gotten to here. I'm gonna be honest. The restrictions and the sort of like I don't know, rescinding of civil liberties. It's only gonna accelerate. It's gonna get worse. And like, are these like do these slop tubers care about any of this fucking stuff? Of course not. A lot of them actively are for it because of I don't know, whatever perceived political slights that they have against certain people. Because eventually they're going to be, like, they're going to go after them next. You know, like, what, you think Mutahar's going to be fucking safe in, like, the U.S. or some shit? Probably not. Motherfuckers like Ethan Klein, does he think he's going to be safe as soon as, like, more and more erosions of civil liberties and rights occur? Fuck no. Obviously not. No, it's only going to get fucking worse. But, you know. This is just how it starts, man. This is how it always started. They go after like some of the most biggest prominent voices that would actively point out this behavior, saying like, hey, this is fucked up and this is kind of bad. And they sort of like go down the rung there. Once they go after the biggest voices that would point out all the bad behavior, then whoa, crazy. They're going to go after the fucking people that, you know, don't have as big of a voice. And it's much easier in order to get, you know, to basically like get them. It's insane, dude, that this is like the sort of point that we're getting at. But, you know, any of these slop tubers care about that? No, of course not. They don't give a shit. They prefer to see you suffer, to be honest. But, you know, my whole sort of like spiel on how much I hate slop tubers aside, like, it's like stuff like this is only just going to get worse. Like, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. It's not looking great. It's not looking great in terms of civil liberties. I'm going to keep it $1.50. I'm going to be honest, really.